Hello guys, today we are going to look about leaked script about Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 1. We are not sure that this is a confirmed leak, so let's get started. So in first scene, aftermath of the Night King's attack on Eastwatch by the sea, Tormund and Gendry are able to flee the scene. Undead Viserion sets crows and undead afire. Lord Beric Dondarrion stays behind to fight the White Walkers, dies off-screen, but not before killing the White Walker that killed Ed. Ed is stabbed to death by a White Walker. Tormund and Gendry ride for Winterfell, whilst we see a burning Castle Black in the background. Daenerys, Jon, Tyrion, Davos, Jorah, Brienne, Podrick, the Hound, Missandei, Varys and Theon arrive in Winterfell. Davos remarks that it has gotten much colder and darker since he has left with Jon. Jon and Arya are first reunited. Daenerys meets Sansa Stark and Sansa asks whether she and Jon are in love now. Daenerys don't give a proper response to that. Sansa doesn't seem too pleased with Jon returning to Winterfell and Daenerys' presence. Jon notices this and chats with her. She mentions Littlefinger's death and how he has always betrayed them right under their nose. She says it is plain stupid to work together with Cersei Lannister. The Hound and Arya also have a conversation with each other. Arya tells the Hound she didn't regret to leave him behind without having him killed off. The Hound answers that Arya should have had him killed off right there, especially with the things he has seen beyond the wall. Euron Greyjoy arrives back in King's Landing with the Golden Company and meets up with Cersei Lannister and the commanders of the Golden Company in the throne room. Cersei thanks Euron for having the sellsword shipped to King's Landing. Cersei orders the commander-in-chief to take Storm's End and to have the army gathered in the fortress. Robert Baratheon once told her that the fortress has stood for many centuries and she's sure that it will keep standing during the long night as well. Since there's no Baratheon holding the castle any longer, it wouldn't be too difficult to just take it themselves. They'll need to protect themselves during the Great War. Later that night, Euron Greyjoy is about to have sex with Cersei Lannister. Euron jokes that she won't miss her brother after she finds out what he can give her. Cersei's face says enough. She isn't too pleased with Euron in her bed. Possible nudity to be seen here. The following morning Euron leaves with his ship, the Silence, to ferry the sellswords to Storm's End to take the fortress. After he comes back, he tells Cersei he wants to be her king. Inside the Silence, Euron has a conversation with Yara Greyjoy about Queen Cersei. Yara point-blank tells him that she knows he isn't interested in being Queen Cersei's pet husband at all. Euron laughs and tells her his good friends from Braavos will take care of that problem soon enough. Daenerys, Jon, Sansa, Tyrion, Davos, Missandei, Sam, Varys, the Northern Lords and the Knights of the Vale gather in the Great Hall of Winterfell. Sweet Robin and Yohn Royce are also present in this scene. Sam reunites with Jon and the two share a hug. Jon tells Sam he's glad to have him back. The Northern Lords are too pleased to accept Daenerys as their queen. Daenerys defends herself very well, but she doesn't get the support of the North just yet. Lyanna Mormont tells Daenerys Targaryen that she will never call her Your Grace, because she only knows one king and that's Jon Snow, the king in the North. Tyrion smiles and mentions that she's a ferocious girl, on which Jorah replies that Mormonts don't stand back for anything. Jon tells them there's no time to argue with each other and brings up that there hasn't been word of the Lannister army yet. Sansa responds that she warned them not to trust Cersei Lannister. Tyrion mentions that they can trust his brother Jaime, but Daenerys doesn't seem to agree on this one. The group discusses how they will defend the North against the Night King's army. Jon Snow tells Robin it's wise to bring the Eyrie into the fold until you're the Night King in there. Robin doesn't really seem to care and accepts Jon's proposal. After the meeting, Daenerys tells Jon that the Northerners really are stubborn and small-minded people. Theon Greyjoy visits the Godswood of Winterfell and thinks of his friend Robb and meets with Bran Stark. He immediately apologizes to Brann for everything he has done against House Stark. But Brann tells him there's no need for that. He knows that Theon has redeemed himself by saving his sister Sansa. He has seen how much he has suffered at the hands of Ramsay Bolton. Theon asks him how he knows all of this, but Brann doesn't respond to that. Arya and Brienne are training and Jon is impressed by his sister's fighting skills. Arya mentions that she has never forgotten to stick her enemies with the pointy end. He asks Arya why she didn't join the meeting in the Great Hall of Winterfell. Arya answers that Sansa is way better in those things than she is. In Volantis, Lady Melisandre enters the Red Temple. She's again welcomed by Kinvara. Melisandre tells Kinvara that she's played her part in the Great War to come. She has united ice and fire. She has served King Jon Snow, the prince who was promised, and brought him back to life. Kinvara tells Melisandre that she's served their god well on that part. But she also made a lot of mistakes where she needs to pay for. Kinvara tells Melisandre that their god demands one more sacrifice of Melisandre, which requires her to return to the north. Melisandre answers that she isn't allowed to enter the north. Kinvara smiles and answers Melisandre that she could benefit from her punishment then. We see Jaime Lannister at an inn when he meets up with Bronn. Jaime's surprised to see Bronn and asks him why he followed him. Bronn answers that there's nothing left for him in that stinking city and he's up for some adventure in the north. Jaime is glad to have Bronn by his side. Bronn asks Jaime why he has left the woman he loves the most, but Jaime doesn't fully respond to his question. He then asks what he's planning to do now he has left King's Landing. Jaime tells Bronn he's on his way to Riverrun to bring the garrisoned Lannister army back to the fold. Bronn asks him why he would give up the castle he has been occupying. Jaime answers what purpose that would have. What does he gain with that? For all he cares, Edmure can have Riverrun back. Tormund and Gendry arrive in Winterfell. Jon Snow asks Sansa why Brann didn't take the time to join the meeting in the Great Hall and didn't even come to speak to him. Sansa tells Jon Brann has changed a lot and calls himself the Three-Eyed Raven now. She tells him not to expect much of a conversation with him. Samwell comes in between and tells Jon there's something he and Brann urgently needs to tell him. Brann first sees Jon in the Godswood when he's looking into the past. Jon mentions that he has encountered a warg beyond the wall. Sam responds that Brann is much more than a warg, he's a greenseer. The two inform Jon Snow about his parentage, which Jon doesn't seem to believe at first sight. Brann tells Jon he knows everything about him. He saw him beyond the wall, surrounded by free folk. He saw him fighting at Hardhome against the Night King, and he saw how he was stabbed to death by his own men. Jon can't really believe he's a Targaryen. Sam mentions that he's the one with a right claim on the Iron Throne, not Daenerys Targaryen but Aegon Targaryen. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.